obviously we delayed our meeting today because of the weather, but we do appreciate everybody being here. We had a number of items on the agenda that we needed to conduct today. So we will begin this morning here. We have a sign-in sheet that anybody would like to address the court there on the table. Feel free to sign in. And Commissioner Shaw, would you give our invocation here this morning? We'll begin with our invocation, and then we'll have the pledge to both flags, and then we'll have opportunities for the public to address the court. You'll stand with me.
Lord, we gather here today to do the county's business. We pray that you give us the wisdom and knowledge to do everything properly, legally, and we pray for all our first responders as they brave this inclement weather here. Pray that you look over them and they all return home safely. As always, we ask that you look over our soldiers, and we pray for the fallen heroes and their families as they deal with their losses. In Jesus' name we ask these things.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. In honor of the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
We have one person that has signed up this morning, Jenny. Jenny, would you like to come forward?
I'm gonna wait and let the discussion take place. I just got a bunch of questions, and those questions may get answered during the discussion.
Okay, what items are you talking about?
I was just concerned about the 911 radio system. I was concerned about. I had some questions about the 911 radio system and the interlocal agreements, but that may get answered, so I'm just gonna wait.
Okay. Well, we're actually not going to discuss items 3 and 4 this morning because we postponed the meeting Monday, of course, which was a regular meeting. And the Attorney General's office has ruled that whether, even though we had a weather delay, that in the law, it doesn't excuse that from being a regular meeting. So we're going to have to postpone items 3 and 4 until March 19th. Which will be our next regular meeting. So we're actually not going to discuss those this morning, but if you'd like to come on, unless you have something else that you'd like to talk on the agenda.
No, I think everything's going to take place during that discussion. I don't think it'd be appropriate to bring that up now.
Okay.
I think all the issues that we all know about are on the table and are going to be discussed. So I think I'd rather just wait.
Okay. All right. But you're certainly welcome to it if you want to. I think you're probably right. All right. Next item is the routine correspondence. And the only thing I have on routine correspondence, Steve, you may need to, and Jack, probably you as well. We did receive a call, I believe yesterday, or Steve did. Jack, I don't know whether you talked with anybody or not, but concerning the ambulance service that East Texas Medical Center, and I'll try to talk into this so you can hear me. East Texas Medical Center has already, or will enter into, they've already entered into a contract with the city of Terrell.
Yes, sir.
To provide them with 2 ambulances, the way I understand it.
Yes, sir, that's correct.
And the Kaufman City Council will be meeting Thursday night. And they will be providing them with 1 ambulance, is
yes,
what my understanding of it is. And so that leaves us with only 3 ambulances for the entire county. So, Jack, you or Steve, or either one of you together probably, come on up and kind of tell us where we are on that. And John, I'll need your input here if this is considered an emergency. Maybe we may need to have a meeting Friday morning concerning same, but it kind of leaves us uncovered, or the response time could be a big issue, I think. So,
Judge, I'll speak on the procurement side. Steve, that's probably other. There, under 262 of government code, there is provision, the court will declare emergency, and we can award a contract exceeding $50,000 based on court calling it emergency. I think this classifies that as that. So I would recommend we probably end up going with a declared emergency, issue a contract with, I guess, Kaufman, possibly for a period of 12 months, to get time to regroup, get all the cities involved, and find the needs there. There's been talk about signing contracts. That's not legal. We've got no provision to allow one company to sign a contract. But we do have a declared emergency, and we can enter into the contract for a period of time.
Okay. I believe Terrell has entered into an agreement with Kaufman, and it's my understanding you checked with this Kaufman, and that's what they're
Kaufman,
doing.
they said that's probably who they're gonna go with also.
So East Texas would only have 3 ambulances left for the entire county,
Yes, sir.
which is how we've been operating all along.
It's been a combined deal using city and county ambulances, which there was a total of 6.
Okay.
With 2 separate vendors, going into this, we do not know of any mutual aid agreements or agreement between those organizations to help each other out. Therefore, I'm looking at it as we only have 3 ambulances to cover the entire county, which would severely hamper our ability to respond timely to any kind of a medical emergency in the county,
Including the city of Florida.
including the city of Kaufman.
John, I'm sorry. Do you
Yes.
think this constitutes an emergency, and what's your recommendation?
Yes, it is. I had looked into this, and I had sent a memo earlier this morning. I think under Government Code Section 551.045B1, I don't always have it memorized, but since I typed it this morning, I recall.
That's pretty good.
I don't know why I turned myself in on that. This constitutes an emergency because it pertains to the imminent health and safety of the citizens. And I think in the posting of notice, it should reflect that, and I have proposed language for that. Also proposed language for the agenda item, kind of giving a broad sweep to what the county may do at a Friday meeting. The court is required to give at least 2 hours notice, but you're going to give close to 2 days notice. So I think you're going to be in good shape on that.
Would 10 o'clock be agreeable with everybody? I know we have another event, I think, that morning, so if we could do it at 10 o'clock, is everybody available at that time? Okay. And you'll get with, you sent the...
Yes, I sent something to you and also to Steve and Jack.
Okay. Now, it's my understanding that Jack come up.
I'll have a 262 language as well.
Okay.
Okay, we all get together. Okay.
Yeah.
But now, it's my understanding that CareFly has agreed to present a proposal.
They are supposed to get us a contract this morning. I've been working with them and trying to, work in the best interest of our citizens. And part of that was getting response times down.
Yeah.
And we've got some language and some agreements in place. We're going to lower those considerably, but also allow us, give them 90 days where we would not charge them a penalty to verify that they can meet those response times.
Okay.
Your Honor, I just wanted to say that as part of the notice, the court will know when it comes out that it will reflect that this is not due to a lack of planning on this court's part, but rather the emergency is because we have been notified that the contract is going to be either breached and or signed against the very terms of the contract.
Yeah,
and we need to do something.
That's a whole other subject, I guess, that we need to do. So, okay, we'll try to get that posted for Monday, and this will be just for the interim period until we do a complete RFP for other vendors. I'm sure some of you guys have, I have, been contacted by a number of vendors that are interested in.
Did you say for Monday?
Friday. I may have said Monday, but I meant Friday.
One of the things that I've told them to put in there based upon what discussions that I've had with Jack is it is not to exceed 12 months and it is to be labeled as an interim contract.
Okay.
So it freely allows us to look at RFPs and, whatever we need to do to get the best service.
Okay. Good. Thank you very much. Jimmy?
Just to be clear, Kaufman and Terrell East Texas, it's gonna leave ambulances to call.
They're pulling them out.
Okay, it's gonna be
On March 1st.
Everybody's gonna have it. Yeah.
Terrell and Kaufman is Thursday night, I think.
Okay, but Care Price.
Care Plots will have units placed in those towns on March 1st. And that's kind of the urgency, is so that we can get Care Plot in here at the same time, so there's no disparity on service.
So we don't have an interruption. I just want everybody to be aware of that, so we can plan accordingly. And the next item, it'll be here at 10 o'clock. Yes, ma'am.
I'd like to give you some email, the court some email. Late Friday after your meeting, it was requested that I contact you to get some additional financing options for the radio system, and it was my email from American National Bank saying they would make it the same terms, waiting on the revenues coming in from the federal marshal's contract. So I just wanted to give y'all that for the record.
Based on an email that I got late yesterday afternoon, I'm not sure that the same rate is still going to apply.
Right, the 40 base points is already up. It's only went up 40 base points.
But they are still interested in the loans, whatever it is. I think the rates are going up about 39 or 40 basis points is what I was told.
Thanks for following up.
You're welcome.
All right, the consent agenda, item A, is to discuss and consider renewing a membership with the Texas Association of Counties and paying annual dues. But item B is to discuss and consider renewing membership with the North and East Texas County Judges and Commissioners Association and paying annual dues. C is to approve the deputation of John Garvin for the Kaufman County Fire Marshal's Office. D would be to discuss and consider approving a project agreement with the City of Post Oak Bend for road repair in Kaufman County Precinct 1. Item E is to discuss and consider approving an interlocal agreement with the City of Maybank for road repairs in Kaufman County Precinct 4. Item F is to discuss and consider designating Ronnie Oldfield as the Kaufman County Investment Officer. And item G acknowledges the appointment of Jack Sebastian as county purchasing agent as appointed by Judges Chitty, Blair, and Wood pursuant to section 262.011 of the local government code. Do you have any discussion of any of those items? Did you make a motion to accept? We have a motion from Commissioner Allen, second by Commissioner Shane. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. All right, we'll skip item 3. We'll pull and actually let's table those officially because of the law, the way the law reads. So I'll entertain a motion to table item number 3.
I make a motion to table item number 3.
Okay. Well, let's do it one at a time. Yeah, let's do it one at a time. Commissioner Allen makes that motion. Do we have a second? Commissioner Phillips seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Item number 4 is to consider consideration and action on a resolution expressing intent to finance expenditures to be incurred by Kaufman County, Texas. Do we have a motion to table that? Commissioner Phillips makes that motion. Commissioner Allen seconds the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. All right. Turning over to the next page, item number 5 is to discuss and consider taking action regarding the designation of local behavioral health authority for Kaufman County pursuant to the timeline of the Sunset Commission study by Health and Human Services Commission. We've discussed this before, and Judge Chitty, you're the resident expert on this. I think we also have another representative here with us. Can you kind of bring us up to date on what's going on?
Yes, sir. Alex Smith is here also, who is the Executive Director of the North Texas Behavioral Health Authority. I know some of the commissioners are familiar with what we refer to as NIPA. NIPA is the local mental health authority for Kaufman, Hunt, Rockwall, Dallas, Alvin, Ellis, and Navarre counties. And it is the authority that oversees the delivery of services to the indigent who suffer from either addictions or mental illnesses, substance abuses. And currently in that 7-county region, some 72,000 unique individuals are receiving services, some 2,000 out in Kaufman County. NITBA has been the authority overseeing the delivery of those services for the last 10 plus years, Alex, 15 years. And each county has representation on that board. I have been the Kaufman County representative appointed by the Commissioners Court for the last 9 years or so. I've served 4 years as chairman of that body, and very familiar with the workings and delivery of services provided under the supervision of NITBA. I'm here this morning to respond to one of these dictates out of Austin. The Sunset Commission reviewed the Health and Human Services Commission operations this past session, and they have made a number of recommendations. Sunset Commission regarding overhaul of Health and Human Services Commission activities. The Department of State Health Services operates under the umbrella of Health and Human Services Commission. DSHS then oversees the delivery of services for the mentally ill and substance abusers in the state. NITBA oversees a very unique system in Texas. We are called the North Star system. It's a blending of funding system that provides a no waiting list opportunity for people suffering either mental illnesses or substance abuse issues for this 7-county area. Those services are delivered to roughly, Alex, 1/3 of all consumers in the state of Texas. Our 7-county region provides 1/3 of all services to participants in the state at less than half the cost per individual that the other portions of the state enjoy. So we've got a track record with NITBA of delivering a lot of services at a much reduced cost per individual. Health and Human Services, for some reason, believes that North Star should be thrown in the trash bin, and we're not quite sure why, to be honest with you. We have delivered more services at less cost than any other region of the state. But at any rate, we are under a deadline of March 3rd for each county within the North Star region, each of these 7 counties, to designate a local mental health authority. And you have 3 options. You can retain NITBA as the local behavioral health authority. You can switch to another model outside of NITBA, or we can allow the state to make the decision for us. In other words, we can default and let the state do what they choose to do, issue an RFP, and see who comes forward. It is my opinion that, number one, we don't know yet what the legislature is going to do with the sunset recommendations. There is kind of a groundswell of activity right now to reject the recommendations. And Jenny Metzinger from Mental Health America was going to be here today. I'm afraid the weather has prevented her. But Janie was prepared to address some issues, and it is my understanding that she has spoken with Senator Hall, and Senator Hall is in favor of rejecting those recommendations. Alex is here as Executive Director to give you any details that you might want to hear about regarding the operations of NITBA. As a member of that body appointed by this court for the last 9 years, it is my recommendation that the county designate NITBA to continue to service the local mental health authority for Kaufman County. Of the 7 counties within the North Star region, Kaufman County is the only one, save Collin County, that has not yet acted, and all of the other counties have elected to stay with NITVA as the local mental health authority. Navarra, Ellis, Rockwall, Hunt, Dallas have all chosen to stay with NITVA. It's my recommendation that we do the same. Collin County believes that they are going to be their own mental health authority and operate their own system within the confines of Collin County. So I think there are certain economies of scale we can enjoy by staying with the 6 counties, and we have a robust system in place right now. I don't see any reason to change it. Alex, would you like to add anything?
Judge, Commissioners, at your workshop last week, I was able to come by and distribute packets of information for you, one of which was the most recent study commissioned by Health and Human Services on North Star that was delivered in 2012. The summary pages that I left with you very clearly state that this model is the best one we've got. It should be not only kept here, it should be considered for other parts of the state. So that's a very strong affirmation, and it also backs up 6 studies that have been done over the last 15 years. Essentially said the same thing. We've prepared a community health plan on your behalf, anticipating your staying with us. If you do choose to stay with us, we can consider that plan having been turned into the state timely on your behalf. We've wrapped it up, submitted petitions, we entered into some discussion of petitions now, working out the details. We have until October to do that. But short of that, I really don't have anything more to add than what Judge Chitty has already told you. We do believe we have the economies of scale. Like I pointed out to you in the past, and I'll remind you again, the boogeyman of Dallas sucking up all the resources has been debunked multiple times. The fact is that we're spending more money in Kaufman County than our other counties. We're in what was typically allocated by the state for each of the counties. And we were able to do that because of the efficiencies of our model. And we're lucky to have a large center like that, a city like that, because they have the infrastructure resources that we wouldn't have available to us if we were not for them doing this job. So that has been a strength of North Star, not a weakness of North Star. So I'm glad to answer questions if you have any, but we would like you to adopt the resolution that we presented to you, naming us your authority and your community's mental health.
I have a question. I believe the other proposal that we received from the Lakes Regional folks was predicated on the fact that they were going to have some other counties that would be with them.
I think they were proposing Hunt, Rockwall, and
Rockwall County.
Yes, sir.
But Hunt and Rockwall County have chosen to stay with North Star.
That is correct.
So the only one that is not going to stay, well, depending on what we do, is Collin County.
That is correct.
And Collin County may do their own thing.
My understanding, they're going to designate themselves probably as the local mental health authority. Is that your understanding, Mike?
Yeah, they were heading in that direction, although they've already started negotiating in Dallas for all the higher end resources that they don't have in Kaufman County. So they're still going to look pretty much like they used to look like.
Is there anyone here today from Lakes Regional that would like to speak? Make sure they have the opportunity to speak if they want to.
Judge, let me add one other thing. The local NAMI organization, Emma Glenn, I think maybe some of you have met Ms. Glenn. Ms. Glenn, I am told, was going to be here with Ms. Metzger, and I guess the weather's prevented both of them from coming, but the local NAMI organization supports the designation of NITVA as the local mental health authority also. So you've got local support for this from the NAMI organization as well as MHO.
Ultimately, whatever we do is really going to be, the legislature's really going to
The legislature will
make a final
either
determination.
accept or reject the recommendations. We have been mandated by HHSC to designate someone by March 3rd, or we'll be in default and they can choose someone for us.
Just adding to that, what we're doing is we're, at their request, we're preparing this plan as a fallback. If the legislature rejects the Sunset Commission, then North Star as it currently exists continues forward. If they do not, then the plan that we have submitted will go with that.
And I believe the deadline is March the 3rd.
March 3rd.
Which is next, what, Tuesday, I guess, or something. Gentlemen, y'all have questions? Commissioners, y'all have questions?
Make the motion, designate one star to continue to be our.
We have a motion from Commissioner Rosales that we continue with North Star and
And
its.
ask the commissioner to specify North Texas Behavioral Health Authority.
North Texas Behavioral Health Authority.
Would you spell that for us?
Does that motion include the document resolution that we presented to you?
Yes.
All right. Ken, Shane seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate you with that program. With that program. All righty, the next item is item number 6, is to discuss or consider appointing a member to the Indigent Defense Board to replace Ray Clark. Currently, the board is made up of the judges, including myself, and one commissioner, and it's generally been the senior commissioner, I think, over the years, even though the senior commissioner doesn't like to be called the senior commissioner. He is, but this would be the board that meets sometimes quarterly and goes over the indigent defense program that we have, not only the amount of money and the funding that we provide our local attorneys, but is also the indigent program we have that's operated out of our public defender's office. And they are going to be meeting soon, but we do need a board. We do need a commissioner to serve on that board as well. So, what's your pleasure?
I make a motion, we appoint Commissioner Phillips.
Okay.
Defense Board.
Commissioner Phillips has been nominated to be the official member on that board, the Indigent Defense Board. Commissioner Rosales seconds. Any other discussion?
Shane.
All in favor, say aye. Okay. Congratulations, sir.
You just appointed.
Have what you already voted. All right. Number 7 is to consider or discuss and consider a recommendation from Commissioner Rosales concerning a resolution supporting the proposed legislation to create a filing fee for civil cases in Kaufman County to be used for the construction, renovation, or improvement of the facilities that house the courts, collecting fees in all matters related.
Yes, sir, this is something with the help of misuse that I've done some research on, and this resolution is being brought before the court to address the bracketed legislation that the Commissioner's Court can ask our state rep and state senator to take before the legislature. We've spoken to several of the judges, and I think we have their support on this. The proposed legislation will create a new filing fee for civil cases in Kaufman County that can be used for construction, renovation, and improvement of the facilities of each court facility. The same legislation was passed in Rockwall County in 2013. It's not a tax increase, it is a user fee. It includes a sunset provision or ending period. Legislation would allow the Commissioner's Court to add anywhere from 1 penny up to $15 on each civil case filed in the district, county court at law, or JP courts. The money, once collected, would be used, say, for construction, renovation, and improvement of each facility. So if Judge Smith collected $20,000, then the money could be used in that court building for that facility.
For each JP?
Yes, yeah. The money, it has to be associated with each court that is collected in. And that would help us to renovate, I think, some of our sub courthouses. Like I say, it's not a tax, it's a user fee. If you don't use the court system, then you don't pay. And it could also be used in the future if we have, surplus money to help fund a new justice center. Right now, all we're asking is that the court sign this resolution supporting this type of legislation. And once that's done, we will notify Senator Hall and Representative Spencer, and they will start the ball rolling, submitting the legislation.
I believe it'll be like a local deal.
It'll be a local legislation, yes, sir.
Well, there's 5 or 6 other counties, I think.
At least that, yeah.
Any discussion?
Can you ask them what kind of buildings is not generated?
Lord, if you get,
What I will ask you.
if we do the $15 maximum,
If you just looked historically at the last 4 or 5 budget cycles, it could run from 53,000 to 35 total, if you added everyone up.
All
It's not a
courts
huge
combined.
amount of money, but
Okay.
it's,
So it would be the JP courts,
county
county
court,
courts, district courts, so it'd be
all,
all.
all courts,
Yeah,
yeah.
we'd have to set up separate line items to be able to track it back.
Right.
But that can be done.
And only on civil cases, not criminal cases, right.
and the district attorney's office, I know, may come back and, you know, if the legislation is approved, they may come back and ask that the money not be put on bond forfeitures. They were okay with everything else, but they just renegotiated with the bonding companies, and so they said they may want to come back and ask the court, you know, if the legislation is passed if the legislation is passed, and then you come back to the court, and the court has to approve the fee, then at that time, the court can say, you know, excluding bond forfeiture or something.
This is only presented to the legislators to get it through the legislature, and then we can come back and assess, like I say, anywhere from a penny to $15.
This is the ball.
Yes.
I'll make that motion.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Allen. Do we have a second?
Your Honor.
Commissioner Rosales, seconds. Any other discussion?
Before you vote.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Could you have an amendment to it, just so it will be consistent with facility fee? Another time is that it's going to exclude fraudulent liens, lawsuits, and any other suits that have a property fee. That's going to be a very small set, but just so it's consistent.
That will probably need to be done once it comes back from legislation. This is just a resolution trying to get our representative to get it through the legislature.
Still have to be fine-tuned.
Yes, yeah.
Then we come back.
Until we ratify it.
Specifics.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks for the input.
Okay.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Allen, a second from Commissioner Rosales. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, motion carried. The next item is item number 8. Keith Stevens, who is here to give us his racial profiling report. I believe we have a copy of that. I don't know if you have anything else, Keith, or not. Questions of the constable concerning this racial profile report. I looked it over, it looked pretty straightforward to me.
I make a motion we accept Keith Stevens' racial profile.
All right, we have a motion from Commissioner Rosales to accept the racial profiling report for the constable of Precinct 3. Commissioner Shane seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, motion carried. Next item is item number 9. It is to, also for Keith, is to discuss and consider approving the purchase of 3 chairs out of the Constable Precinct 3 budget. So, we'll see.
On September 18th, Commissioners Court approved my budget. In my budget, there's a line item, 010-5200-553 for furniture and equipment. In that line item, there's $3,000 listed for that line item. I put in a PO request to purchase 3 chairs for my office. Due to the chairs that are in my office now came from my house when I got elected, because there were no chairs in there. I was told that furniture line item was not for purchase purchasing furniture. But yet, I just got off the phone with the constable in precinct 4 this morning, who purchased 2 desks and 2 chairs using that same furniture line up. Okay? Only thing I'm asking for is the opportunity to utilize my budget that the county approved for my department, to run my department the way I see fit.
And you submitted it that way? You're the one who submitted this budget, right?
I submitted the budget, yeah. And when I got it back, this is how I got it back.
Jack, would you care to address this?
I certainly would, yes, sir. We have a thing, that a term that's used, it's not used here, but it's called truth in budgeting, okay? We don't practice it here at Kaufman County for some reason. I gave this bill about the first 6 years I was here, and I got tired of it, went nowhere. But in reality, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to present a budget, the court approves the budget, and then I get a list of what's approved, I know what to buy. You can post that budget on the internet, so the taxpayers know what their tax money's going. That's truth in budget. We don't have that here. Mr. Stevens requested 2 Tahoes, and equipment to go with Tahoes. Shotguns, rifles, AR-15s, go with the cars. Those cars and the position he asked for were not approved. However, the money stayed in there, and I'm sure that, budget time was just an accident, those things happen. He did ask for an AR-15 and a rifle rack and whatever for 1 car. The other items were for his other car that he did not get. Okay, so when I get, so what happens is while I'm gone, furniture is ordered to the state. I know each of that, judges' chairs and chairs and match this, are custom-made furniture from the state of Texas. Now, I'll let you gentlemen speak to that, what you see there, what the budget is for. We can do the political thing, we can do the right thing. When I explained that to Mr. Stevens, I also advised him when I canceled the order, because I did not, first one to go through me, they did not go through me. When I found out about it, I canceled it. I met with Constable Stevens, and he had concern, I don't blame him, I should have, you wish that I would have took place with him. And I told him, I apologize for that. And I shook hands with Mr. Stevens. And I told Mr. Stevens that I felt bad about it, that I had furniture that the precinct 4 needed, and I felt kind of guilty that, I was going to buy furniture in one area and not the next. And so, I said, what I like to do is I like to buy you furniture that's equal to what the other people are getting. At that point, Mr. Stevens said, no, that's not good enough. I'm going to stick to what I want. I want the judge's chair and a fancy chair. Now, I will urge the court, that you might want to think about this and make a good decision, because if you make a wrong decision, according to my staff member, Constable Stevens will come to my office, where my employees call me a liar, make accusations, and to tell everybody, I'm just here to stir the shit. Well, he can stir it up. That's all I got to say. You can get him what you want, but I'm done with it.
Judge Wood?
Yes.
May I explain something? Year before last budget, precinct 4 had asked for some stuff, because a couple of their desks were propped up with thick bricks and cement, blocks. I couldn't think of the word, it was falling down. He didn't buy it that year, so I left it in the budget, and y'all approved it that way, all right? When this budget from precinct 3 constable submitted that, those were his notes of what he needed. Laptops, AR-15s, the holders, the rifles, the shotguns, and the ammo. So the numbers added up on the side, that's his handwriting of what he needed. The numbers are my numbers, and that's why I put that number in there. I'm going to suggest for budget that we separate it, office equipment, or whatever, or safety, law enforcement, and we need to separate it. One item needs to be for equipment, one item needs to be for furniture.
The budget here is like my budget, and I guess, I don't know, can you pull yours up on your screen? Has that been deducted? I mean, he has no money left in his budget.
Yeah, he still has, what he hasn't spent out of that line item is still there to spend.
There's more than enough money still left in that line item to purchase the shares that I've asked for. These are the exact same.
My question or concern would be, is 2 years ago, Jack had to replace one of the actual judge's chairs. We had to order special cow leather to fix it and cover it and get it right. It was close to what, $600-700?
$550.
Okay, both of us got questioned by this court, maybe not you, but your position, of why we approved that. So that would be one question or concern also is, who should get those kind of chairs, because that's kind of expensive furniture. And my side of it, just for budget to help Judge Wood, is I would make two separate line items. Somebody needs actual furniture, then we put some money in there for desks or chairs, and then one for the equipment they might need. I'll shut up. I was just trying to separate it it would help,
How many, has this furniture equipment budget been in the budget in the past? Going back 6-7 years ago, or when did all the furniture come from the first?
Yes, sir. It used to be like, up to 10 years ago, they would have special line items in their departmental budget. And then some of that was pulled back and put in the 409, the big general government fund. And then I think Judge Wood kind of got Jack kind of overwatching the 5200 and the big office supply line item where we buy all the paper to make sure we're getting. Commissioner Precinct 4 at that time used to make a comment and a joke. Need an 18-wheeler, we gotta buy that paper by the 18-wheelers because it's so expensive. So, we need to kind of fine tune this, and my concern is somebody says they need $3,000 to buy the guns, the rifles, or whatever, and then they don't buy that, they need to come back to court and say, I didn't spend all my money, and I'd like to move it to a new line item and buy some furniture if you'll approve it. That's part of the problem, is we haven't been requesting that from the people, the department heads and elected officials to come to the court and ask to do this.
The reason we did that was move the line item for furniture to one source, to the Jack, since he was purchasing. What was happening, we get down towards the end of the budget year, and if somebody looked over, not everybody, please understand, but there were some that we'd get down to the end of the budget year, and if they hadn't spent, if they had $1,000 or $2,000 left in their furniture budget, they'd go buy something just because they had money to do it. So, yeah, so that's the reason we started doing that. But I guess I'm a little confused here, because I thought this chair, I thought I read something that the chair was for Judge Smith.
Incorrect.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
I was not that lead by the purchasing department.
okay. Well, I thought.
And if I could comment too on this furniture, this is the same stuff that is sitting in 4 or 5 offices at the sheriff's office. It is sitting in numerous offices throughout this county. I'm not asking for something special that nobody else has. It's the same furniture that's been routinely ordered for this county. Okay. And there was no other communication from him telling me that the POs were canceled. No emails. I've never received a phone call from him. I still got copies of all the emails. And I did not find out that the stuff was canceled until I went in and spoke with Ms. Lisa in his office, because the money was taken out of my account, and 2 to 3 months later, the money was still not in my account.
I like to have what you ask you guys is, Lisa did not want to get involved in this, but she got tired of BS. That letter explains what was asked for. I don't know, maybe students didn't get the true story, but the individual that told Lisa that the chair is for Mike Smith. Now, I don't know if she's trying to cover herself because she knew she shouldn't order them, but that's what she told me. That's the fact. I didn't make that up. My employee got tired of listening on the BS, and she wrote that up. Now, you also know the other handout I gave shows what regular furniture costs, it shows what this fancy furniture costs. It's about $700 something. Now, I think the question here today is, you know, if I'm a commissioner, maybe some people don't get it, I don't know. If I'm a commissioner and somebody comes to me at budget time and tells me what they want, and I approve that, and I'm offended that they've circumvented the process.
So here, what this is showing is that a lot of this money that was put in there for equipment and furniture was not spent on equipment that was intended to go into a new vehicle.
Yes,
Am I
sir.
reading this right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
That's to the best of my knowledge, Commissioner.
May I comment on that? The AR and the shotgun have been purchased. The shotgun has come in, the AR has not come in yet. Okay? The gun rack, the flashlight, was under anticipation I was gonna get a new vehicle.
That's
Okay?
$1,059 is what this was.
And I can't see going and spending $800 for a gun rack to put in a Crown Vic that has 150,000 miles on it when I can't replace that car with a Crown Vic and that same gun rack get placed in it. To me, that's a waste of county money. So the gun rack was not purchased and the flashlight was not purchased because I didn't get a new vehicle to put those items in.
So that's $1,089 originally be left in his budget.
Yes, sir.
That wasn't anticipated.
He submitted that paperwork with the items and the prices, and I just added it up in hand, so I know how much to put in the line item. So it wasn't quite 3,000, but I put the whole 3, just in case there was shipping or something charged that I wouldn't know about.
Well, he has the money in the line item to buy the chair.
Yes.
He had the money in his line item, yes, but when he presented it to court, he gave them a list of what he wanted. Those chairs are not on the list, and that's why I'm saying, needs to come to court, say, I did not buy all of this, I have so much left in my budget, I'd like to move it and buy some office furniture, and have you approve it. That would be the correct way to do it, because when you adopt that budget, that becomes an order, and we have to follow that.
Well, I mean, I can understand, if I was looking at my budget for sale furniture, and I had $3,000 in it, I would assume that I could buy furniture.
That's why I said the new budget, okay, you need to do one for office furniture, just furniture, one for equipment. And this would negate any other issues in the future. You have to understand, when y'all approved me to spend $142,000 to get software and get the data for 10 years converted, that's what it was called. Office furniture / equipment. And that's what we've used all these years.
And most of the other budgets do not have a furniture line item in them. I mean, like commissioners or my budget.
In fact, he has 2 laptops on there, and I think I have a note, IT beside it, because George was gonna have to put that in his budget to buy him the laptops.
Do all the other constables have, in their budget, that they have furniture? So furniture and things was in all 4 of the constables' budget.
I don't know, I'd have to go back and look.
I don't have it.
I've got the budget book here if you'd like to see it.
Give it to me, I can tell you real quick. I put it together so I know where it is. Okay. Precinct 1 has a new equipment line item. Precinct 2 has office furniture and new equipment. And then precinct 3 just has furniture / equipment. And
That's the constable that you're reading now.
Yes.
Okay.
And precinct 4 has office furniture and equipment.
What, is there a way to, if the court chose to allow the furniture purchase to go forward, is there a way that can occur with a budget line item transfer or something of that nature? Or I'll let just allow, if he's got the money in the budget, if the court chose to do that?
We have to do a budget amendment.
You have to do a budget amendment because,
To move it,
So start another category, so.
yeah.
No, it wasn't on this list.
It was not on that list, and that's what I guess Mr. Sebastian was trying to point out to you, is that when we do a budget, we need to do it in full focus, financial transparency, so the citizens know what we're buying and how their money's being spent. And it hasn't been done. It hasn't been done properly, and we're just trying to make sure that we are doing our job correctly and following the law and guidelines.
You had one more thing I'll show. We order stuff all the time. In every court, you guys will have her full bills. If you see something that looks strange, and you have to approve that. No approve. Okay. You need to know this. Going forward, when anybody asks for anything, if they've got a line item that even resembles what they're talking about, I'm open again, okay? Because I'm tired of doing y'all's job. Y'all want me to stop the spending, and y'all don't have the courage to sit there and do a true budget. So don't come to me the next time we pay bills, and I order something like you did last time, they said, a lot of people are sure to approve. Okay, that's all y'all. You need to understand that. I can't stop the spending. That's you guys, so.
I got one more thought about it. Jack, I got a question. How come we have all different catalogs for people to order out of? Why don't we have just one catalog and we go with?
We have a contract with Terrell Spot Furniture, and that's fair enough, good enough for the contract. He wants to judge it here.
You buy it out, you get out. You remember I walked in here the first time, we had this issue with the sheriff's department buying one of these really nice chairs from the sheriff's department over there. That's a huge problem.
For the deputy.
Yeah, to the city, the deputy to the city, and all that. I seen an old chair that was in my office when I walked in 10 years ago, last year. And it's been good for me. If we can't figure out a chair off supply, I think we need to probably get some truth, like Jack says, and stand up and say, hey, guys, if it's not a chair off supply, you buy it out of your own pocket.
I got it.
And I offer that.
I'm tired of listening to this. I've seen the sheriff do this, and then we'll have to review under my watch. I let them get by with it, and Jack's exactly right. What she said here, we're making Jack try to do this job, and we should do it ourselves. If we're gonna do the same.
I also got a new chair from Terrell Office Supply from the Scratch and Tin store. I'm new monitors. Pretty comfortable.
I hope they have heavy duty when I get there. All right, gentlemen, what's your pleasure on this item? We need to move on, but.
So what we're saying is, he needs to come back, Commissioner's Court, ask for an amendment, to amend the budget, put a separate line item for versus equipment. Did I get that right?
You have to amend the budget to change it from what you said you were gonna buy
To buy something.
to buy something else. That's the proper procedure.
All right, let me ask this of you and Jack. Jack, I know we've hit the furniture and equipment line item pretty heavy so far this year because of some of the remodeling we've had going on. Would this furniture, other than the judge's chair, which is not in the Terrell catalog, is that right?
That's correct.
Would that furniture, the other furniture be eligible for you to buy out of that line item that you control?
Or we get that line. But quite honestly, you know, we all know what's causing all this is the building upstairs with my furniture, got everybody upset. That's what creates a whole mess. Like I say, I offer that up from the beginning. You know, I get furniture, you know, equal to what everybody else buys. You know, my concern is there again, you know, I'm really shocked that the court is not concerned about somebody asks for one thing and then give them something else. That's not what's good, gentlemen. But I'll buy furniture. You know, I'll get furniture, but it will be. I'm gonna go record that. I will not order a judge's chair. will order furniture if I'm directed to general hospital. Now, Constantine has a line to the prison system or furniture, it's a good way. The purchasing agent will not make it up.
Something else you need to keep in mind, if you approve 3,000 in a line, they only spend $28.50. You need to allow me to move the difference to that contingency line item.
Right.
Because people will continue to spend it, and sometimes they're trying to charge things in that line item that don't belong there, and you might be correct.
It's a transparency thing.
Yes.
To a great degree, I think.
I've been under budget every year, I'll be under budget this year.
Council, do you have anything else you'd like to add? Jack, do you have anything else you'd like to say?
I do not.
Karen, do you have anything?
No, sir.
John, do you?
I did, a little historical perspective for the new commissioners. I was chief of the civil section in Dallas. I attended approximately 220 commissioners' court meetings there. I've been doing the work here since 2008. This is the first time that I can recall in the probably 400 meetings that I've been to that someone has challenged a purchasing agent as part of the court process, and I can only imagine that would invite them to regular concern. And so I urge you all to cautiously consider this as what less than a month.
Okay.
I'm not telling you how to vote, but
Right, but,
if you enjoyed this discussion, there's more to come out.
yeah, probably so. All right, gentlemen, what's your pleasure? I'm sorry, go ahead.
I'm not asking to transfer funds, I'm not asking to buy this furniture out of general fund. I'm asking strictly to use the budget line items that were allotted to me to run the office. That's all I'm asking.
Okay. Gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
So we need to amend this today, or not?
You just need to take it up or down, or you can take it either one. I do it up and down both. But you, whatever you want to do is fine with me.
I'm gonna make a motion to keep my, equipment for the telephone supply in those places.
Okay. Out of the line item that he has. Okay, we have a motion from, Mr. Shane that, the items that the constable wishes to buy would have to come from the Terrell office product, which is our bidder. But it would be paid out of this particular line item.
He says office supply.
Yes, I hate to ask one more question. Does he have $3,000 in his furniture?
He doesn't have it much, but he has enough to buy chairs.
How much does he have in his budget?
Off the top of my head, I don't know, because he's already bought, he just told you, he bought some equipment already.
Because he doesn't have enough to buy his chairs.
He
He's got to
does.
make a line item transfer from something.
No, he does have enough to buy the chairs. There's enough left.
So he has enough in his budget.
There's more than enough left.
Or, you know, I'd like to get it resolved, or you can take it if you want to.
Don't we have a motion?
Yeah, we have a
We do have a motion on the floor. I guess I need to call for a second. Do I have a second? Do I have a second? One more time, do I have a second? Okay, I declare that motion dead. So do we have another motion?
Make a motion to table.
Commissioner Rosales moves that we table this item. Do I have a second to that motion?
Wait, well, I guess they will.
Okay, you making that?
I'll second.
Commissioner Shane seconds. Now we can have more discussion.
I'm kind of like John, I don't want to have to discuss this thing again.
Right.
Because it's a waste of whoever's here. But, I mean, it's a waste of a lot of time. If we need to go back, and it could be less than 30 days to get the budget re-amended, or whatever the wording needs to be, to word it right, put the money in there, put another line item separate, like some of the other constable's office did. Get one for equipment, one for furniture. Make that right here, and then come back in, and he's got his line item to spend his money, if it's through the right vendor. And we don't have to do this all over again.
that correct?
You can eliminate that whole thing by making a decision. He made the motion to approve him to buy it out of that line item because he has the money left. We just needed the second, but he needs to use the vendor that we use for furniture.
Yeah, the motion on the table now, the first and second is to table, so. Constable.
Take one more comment. I keep talking about Terrell Office Supply as the vendor. There's furniture that gets bought from the prison system all the time. A chair just got ordered from them for one of the judges. Okay, so it's not like we don't use this vendor.
That's why they call it judge's chair.
Exactly, because that's the name of the chair.
Yeah, judge.
Yeah, that's why there's 5 of them sitting in the sheriff's office.
Anything else?
Yeah, that's like, I don't really see it. I'll see why we're attending it. Everybody made a decision, move forward. Get by share, huh? I mean, if you're gonna buy furniture like Carol, like everybody else does, some special individual, we have to have custom made furniture. That's the question.
Well, I think the court right now has been given some new information this morning, Jack, that perhaps they've not seen before. And that may be part of the reason for
It'd be helpful if we would have.
yeah, to take it.
And we need to figure out, we need to specify what kind of furniture people can buy. I don't know that we have a rule anywhere, do we have a rule somewhere, do we have in the
I was told that the furniture.
in our or anything in Kaufman policy saying what particular kind of chair we're allowed to buy? I mean, I know you said, no, wait a minute, I mean,
What we have, sir, is an annual contract that includes furniture. So if you guys approve a vehicle, okay, and it's Tahoe, so then you're gonna say that maybe Ryan may want to buy an Escalade next time.
I understand what you're saying. Don't get me wrong, I understand that we have a furniture contract, or an office supply contract. But if they don't have a particular item that somebody wants and it's in their budget, then you're gonna tell me that if I decide I want a John Deere tractor, you're gonna say, well, wait a minute, we only do bids per case. No, I don't think so. No, I mean, that's,
No, we changed back in the day, you got everything from a little bit of specification.
yeah.
But everybody's spoiled now, so they have to have Cadillacs and
I mean, we've got to specify what we want. And all I'm saying is, do we have an order saying that we are stopping people from asking what they want?
Well, I don't think it's common sense. Okay, we want to buy something custom made at the prison system. We want to buy something from Terrell, by the head of our furniture contract. It's common sense.
Okay, but does that, I mean, keep saying, I don't know if they do or not. You keep saying they have 5 of them over at the
Well, that's why,
sheriff's office.
that's why about that, because he also, he made order those, which I did not. Those chairs were put into the jail, they built the jail. That was part of the whole plan.
I know, I'm just hearing what he's saying.
Okay, well, he said a lot, so listen to it. Those chairs were bought when the jail was built. The architect was involved in that, built the building. I can't help it what the architect designed and what furniture you want to put in there. I can't help that. The only time that chair was ordered, the only time I've ever ordered a chair in 10 years, the sheriff's office was to replace a chair that was already there, that was tore up, and we had a new deputy chief. So that furniture was put in place. I have not ordered judge's chair for anybody but a judge since then.
Because I know I have one similar to that too in my office. I don't know if it's tore up and it happened. Cut one.
They make one, I think you'll see that catalog at Paper Show, there's one that looks just like it,
Yeah.
but it doesn't have a logo on it, and it doesn't cost $500.
Is that the price included in your commission or handout?
I've got one soon in my office, and I got it recommended.
We have a motion on the floor and a second.
I'd like to rescind my motion.
Okay.
I think this needs to be dealt with now.
All right, so, is it all right with you if you withdraw your second and you want to withdraw your motion? So now we're back to what we want to do.
Kenneth, you want to remake your original motion?
Well, I will remake that original motion that we allow him to buy office products from Terrell Supply to fit his needs at his budget.
Okay, what about the issue about the judge's chair? I think we need to clear that up as much as we can.
he'll buy chairs like all the rest of the people get from trail office supply.
Okay, not a judge's chair.
Not a judge's chair. You said they had one that looked similar to it.
Yes, sir.
And this is what you put in your price quote.
That's correct.
Well, I guess I was kind of out, but I thought it was for Judge Smith, but I thought it would come out when we charged
That's
Judge
the way it's
Smith.
presented in my office.
Yeah.
But that's not true.
Okay. All right, so repeat your motion again, so we have it.
I'm making a motion that we allow, the purchasing agent to allow the fees to go to the trail office supply and purchase what he wants out of his budget.
Okay.
For his office.
Everybody hear that? Do I have a second?
I'll say.
Commissioner Wallach seconds. Further discussion? All in favor say aye. All against? Okay, so motion carried 4-0, and this will be something that we will address in our budget workshops this year. Make sure we have as many of these things cleaned up as we can. Yeah. All righty, next item is item number 10, with Ronnie Oldfield to discuss and consider approving the treasurer's monthly report. Ronnie, I didn't get a handout, you may have it there for us.
I believe I have a handout here for you.
Okay.
I think everybody would prefer if we can turn that clock back and we will get those into the package.
Well, we have to have them by, Monday? Yeah. We'll get with you on the timing, but we have to have them, since we adopted the new, process. We gotta have them.
We got a request, and it wasn't with the request, so they knew when the request was supposed to be to them. At the same time.
We'll get with you on
Yeah,
time.
I think everybody's trying to get improved process.
You may proceed.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. The general fund had a beginning balance, as you can see on the top line, of $7,982,356.62. Receipts of $9,544,683.45. Disbursements of $3,828,991.14, for an ending balance of $13,698,048.93. You can see the monthly cash summary, where of the $13,722,891.69, none of that is in a segregated investment. We do have the segregated investments for the $25,000 construction fund, the land sale fund of $899,834.20, and the road bond fund of $1 million. Both of those investments are at tax pool. And again, once again, pointing out to you gentlemen and our guests, is that the American National interest on the 25 million of road bond funds approximately that they're holding is $1,159.94 versus the interest income on the investments held by tax pool of $114.20 on $1,899,000. There, as we discussed in the last report, there's substantial discrepancy or differences in the interest rates earned. And now that we've taken care of the investment officer appointment, I believe that we will communicate to tax pool to move the $1,899,000 to American National Bank. We've had discussions with American National on that process as well, because American National's net interest to us is approximately 10 times per month per dollar what tax pool is getting. Are there any questions, Jim?
Anybody have any questions of the treasurer? interest rates are still low, you know.
Yes, sir. We've had a total of 3 meetings with American National Bank, 2 of them fairly in-depth, 2 weeks ago. And as we discussed with the bank, we want to develop processes now of communicating and teaming up while interest rates are low. The fruits of those labors will be minimal because interest rates are low. What we will have is you'll have a finely tuned machine so that as rates do increase, we'll have the systems and processes in place to maximize our return.
Anybody have any questions of the treasurer? I entertain a motion to accept the report as presented. So I make Commissioner Regalic makes a motion, do we have a second? Commissioner Phillips seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. And gentlemen, I've got the copies here, I'll pass around for you all to sign. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. Thank you.
Ron, you have an extra copy.
Yeah, they're signing, but I'll.
Okay, thank you.
All righty, item number 11 is from our tax assessor collector, and it concerns the tax assessor collector report for January 2015.
Good morning, gentlemen. In the month of January, we collected about 8.8 million for M&O, the general fund, and over 1 million for INS. We also had 7 properties that we have rollbacks on. So that's a total of $22,725 that we had in rollback taxes for total collections year-to-date in the general fund of $25,345,265. In the road and bridge, this month we collected $1,449,339 for total collections year-to-date. Although you have, $2,700 in rollback taxes, and the total collections in road and bridge year-to-date is $3,712,555. And again, on the rollback taxes, that was 7 different properties that were included in that.
Was that the big one, the Buc-ee's, or do you know?
Well, one of them,
It may have been in last month.
last month was the Buc-ee's, but we did have the 60 acres off of 1641. That might have been also included in that. And then we had about 108 acres off of County Road 225 there at one area. Those are the big ones.
And just as a reminder to everybody, those rollback taxes we didn't budget for because, there's no guarantee that we'll get any, so that's good. I mean, it's progressing along after just 4 months of the year, so that's an extremely good sign when a property is being converted like that. So, anybody have any questions for Ms. Radcliffe?
John, you said the rollback taxes for this month were $23,860.
No, 22,725. Did y'all get the wrong?
Yes, mine says 23,860.
That's what mine
Okay,
says.
my apologies then.
I like the 23 better than the 22.
Well, it's 22,700 or something, so pretty close.
So we need that. Huh?
22,725.
Yeah, that was 7 different properties. That wasn't just one.
No, but that's the right number.
Yes.
For that.
Yes, what I gave you. So now, probably the numbers will make more sense.
Now you're on the same page.
Okay, so total collections for our general fund year-to-date, and $25,345,265. And the rollback taxes for January were $22,725. So our rollbacks year-to-date are $131,594.
All right, anybody have any questions for Ms. Radcliffe? seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Those opposed. Thank you very much, Tanya. All righty, the next item is number 12, and it deals with an item we discussed at the last meeting, to consider amending the current year budget, 2015 budget, to decrease 3 months of salary and benefits savings from the sheriff and the jail and the 911 regional call center departments per county auditor's worksheet for the purpose of purchasing sheriff patrol vehicles and accessories, with remaining savings transferred to the contingency line item in the general fund in Department 409. Karen, I believe you and Jack worked on this maybe, so.
Yes, purchasing agent worked with, Chief Deputy Weavers on, getting the quotes on the vehicles and the equipment and brought that to court, and then, Chief Beavers submitted to me his worksheet, and, I pulled those very similar numbers, but I left a buffer in the salary and benefit line items in the department, simply for the payroll approval that'll happen at the end of September. And, the difference, I wanted to put in that contingency line item in case we have an emergency of some sort, and need to find some money to it, if we can't, if we don't have it. So that was my worksheet that I submitted for y'all to approve.
Do we have any questions from anybody?
I'd just like to commend the sheriff department again for helping us out on the budget, working with us. This is exactly the kind of cooperation I've been hoping for the last couple of years.
I would like to say that the personnel, we still are hurting out there. It's not because we're always into saving money, but our people are hurting. That's the reason why we're seeing this big savings.
And this will be 8 vehicles?
Yes, sir, that is correct. That's what we approved the last time.
All right, gentlemen, what's your pleasure?
Motion to accept.
Okay, we have a motion from Commissioner Allen to accept the amendment as provided. Do we have a second? Commissioner Gonzalez seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Those opposed. Item number 13 is to discuss and consider advertising a bid for the annual contract for electrical services. Jack?
Gentlemen, our electric contract has expired, and I'm going to rebid. We'll do the same thing we did last time. We'll be just a bid based on hourly rates and expertise. Anything you want to add to that, I'll put that in specification. Time to rebid, permission to advertise.
So this would be for work that our guys cannot do. It'd be for a master electrician, a licensed electrician.
Currently, Apex is a vendor.
Yeah, material. Yeah, but it'll be advertised, but it's primarily based on their hourly.
It's like a master electrician, a helper, or whatever, it's based on, the bid last time I did was based on hourly rate for those individuals, and also based on markup for product supply.
Will each vendor be able to put their own specifications in there for markup product, or is the bid going to include one price?
What we do, we put a line item there, and we say, we have a right to supply materials, and the electrician decides to do so, it's what is your cost material.
So each individual vendor will put their markup price on.
Jack, what do we normally spend a year?
There's one various, Commissioner, I don't have a number on that, when we would do like the Army project, it increases, but I'm talking about before the 9/11.
Just regular maintenance is what it normally runs.
It varies, some years you'll use quite a bit, next year you won't use much at all.
It would equate to have our own electrician then, what you're saying?
Plus an expertise, and if something blows up, burns up.
Yeah. An example, we talked about in closing this old parking or drive-through bank thing over here, turn it into storage. Very likely we'll have to have somebody with, the electrical, a master electrician, and have
licensed
yeah.
electrician.
So. All right, do we have any other questions? I'm sorry.
Now, Judge, one thing I'd like to say is we appreciate this contract for us because it has saved us quite a bit of money out there, because we've had some problems with that building and the lights out front, and we have to utilize them quite a bit to troubleshoot a lot of our, lights outside and with the jail settling, so they've done an outstanding job for us, and I admit, we spend quite a bit of money with trying to troubleshoot a lot of stuff we're doing, because we don't have a master electrician on site, so it helps us out there a lot.
Do you still have somebody in your maintenance with that's HVAC certified?
Yes.
Okay, any other comments or questions on the bid for the electrical repair services, I guess, repair and construction services?
Judge, like everyone saying, I'm not giving you guys dates today, because we got, also got quite a bit to do here.
Yeah, I see.
I don't want to sign any dates to those, I just want to get permission to get the ball rolling.
Okay. All right, Commissioner Allen makes a motion, and Commissioner Shane seconds the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. All righty, item number 14 is to discuss and consider advertising for an online auction through Renee Bates Auctioneers to sell county surplus property.
Yeah, just well past time to get rid of the, we're going to start taking pictures, I think they've been out to the commissioners there.
It's good you used equipment, let's not say. Heavily.
A-rated, experienced.
Yeah, experienced.
I stand corrected.
It'll operate itself.
Yeah, because that is, and we may want to just talk about that, but, you know, we've got that pretty good sized electrical generator in the old jail, that does not, we don't use it anymore. Is that something, is that something we should probably put on there to get rid of it?
If someone, I don't know what, that's gonna be a maintenance expert to tell me that.
Is that a backup for the, is that what you're talking about, is it a backup?
It was a backup for the old sheriff's office, and I don't even know if it even runs.
Yeah.
Since we moved out, I have not put my
I
hand.
mean, was it supposed to, let the power go?
Yes,
It's supposed
yes.
to come on?
Yes, sir. It did back in the day.
You know, right?
I think it was service and everything for a good time. I think now the emissions it puts out now, I don't think it passed a lot of areas.
Was it a diesel or?
Yes, sir. It's a big old land generator.
It's a diesel engine?
Yes.
We can transfer per single one if you like to have it.
With wheels on it.
I can try to have it.
To bring it up to standard, I don't know.
Yeah, it's like a submission deal.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, might be a good time, but I don't know what the market is for somebody like that.
I don't know, that's a regular market for them.
Is it?
I think it was a bit.
Yeah.
That's
The
a
biggest thing is,
Well, yeah, and there's no, and they don't have to pass it, take the map for us.
Yeah.
Because we're a clean county.
If you just have it as a work generator somewhere, it doesn't have to pass the test, I don't have to pass it.
All righty, so what's your pleasure on item 14?
Motion to allow them to advertise our online auction.
All right, Commissioner Shane makes that motion, we have a second.
Second.
Commissioner Gonzalez seconds, all in favor say aye. Those opposed. Item number 15, for an annual contract for countywide janitorial services.
Judge, we talked about that from time to time. We've got one that's pretty close to getting ready to go out. It's gonna be a challenge. I'm not sure what level of cleaning that we want to get. But we'll probably do an RFP versus a bid. Very important you guys decide how much you want to do it. If you look around county buildings these days, they're pretty bad shape. So need to be cleaned up, so I think it's time to do that. Or we can hire some in-house. We need to do something.
Let's see what we can come up with on bids, see what they look like, they don't, and we might reconsider our own people, and they can start like 2 o'clock and everything, 8 o'clock at night, or 10.
We can certainly do an RFP, let the gentleman look at it and make a decision. It's one, I don't call them what we're putting down. Each area's kind of done their own thing. And I'm sure, and from the level of service that we're getting in these areas, I get the chance to have time. So when you hire a professional to do this, we won't have our.
Okay? What's your pleasure on item number 15? Okay, Commissioner Allen makes a motion. Commissioner Shane seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Those opposed. 16 is to discuss and consider advertising bid for an annual contract for uniforms for the Kaufman County Sheriff's Department.
Same thing, how much time we did that. that's a little late to get that out and move on that. And I think I've got my members, I think we have spec ready to go, so I think it's good.
Motion to approve that.
You make that motion?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry. Commissioner Allen makes that motion. Do we have a second? Commissioner Phillips seconds the motion. Do we have any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Those opposed? Item number 17 is to discuss and consider purchasing one F-750 truck, precinct 4, road and bridge through the buy board contract number 430-13.
That truck, once again, is precinct 4, when you put together a package out there. Truck is $69,900. It meets all the procurement requirements. I'll make that recommendation.
Okay. We have a recommendation from our purchasing agent. Do you have anything?
Who's going to pay for it?
Purchasing, Commissioner Lockhart.
Yes.
Commissioner Allen has made the motion to approve this. Do we have a second? Commissioner Phillips seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Those opposed. Item number 18 is to discuss and consider purchasing one Bearcat BC 503 asphalt spreader for precinct 4 road and bridge through the buy board contract 424-13.
Jim, this is the other half of that package. This is the unit to go on that truck. It also is in the buy board contract. Total price of $98,196. It also meets all the requirements. I make his recommendation.
Okay, we have a recommendation from the purchasing agent. We have a motion to approve. Joseph Allen makes the motion, Commissioner Allen, and Commissioner Rodriguez seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed.
Is that gonna be financed or paid?
Good, I'd like to have one more thing on up here. Also, we got a lot to do. Two past construction jobs we've had with the annex and the armory. I spent a lot of time on those. I'll take you back to do purchasing work.
Right.
So please don't call me if your water's not hot or or you have a plumbing leak or you want your carpet cleaned. Please call someone. I'll be glad to help.
And we need to have a little more formal system on that. Right now, those calls can be directed down to my office, and Angie and Casey can get that out, primarily the ball and the nest going out. So we probably need to formalize that a little better, but for the time being, just do that. I thought you liked maintenance work.
I'll be one of the other. I'll be glad to help.
Construction work, actually.
There you go.
Yeah. All righty, discussion item number 19 is to discuss and consider action on the eco station pricing and hours of operation.
I put that on there. You always lose money. Operate the eco station. That was modeled, grant money years ago. I don't know of any way to make that thing break even. I don't make a profit, they lose thousands of dollars. But on us, because the prices are kind of high compared to some of the other places, we're open 7 to 3:30. I guess that's always been the hours, I don't know. They tried doing Saturdays. I think they did for 3 or 4 months, only one person showed up. Got trash on Saturday, so that doesn't thing. I don't know.
I think it's the prices or what?
Well, if you're gonna come out and I'm gonna dump a wash machine or a mattress, and I'm gonna charge you $20, you're gonna put it in the ditch, you're gonna bring it to the eco station. We've been picking them up in the ditches.
I'm gonna tell them take precinct 2.
He doesn't have a dumpster big enough to put them in.
I got they won't let them come in. So, you know, I think he didn't put, because I don't think I'm the one that needs to be totally in charge of that, it's a county-wide thing, so we'll solve it. For discussion today, not really take any action, other than think of something that's a way to make that thing viable. I don't know how you get the citizens to use it. It's not in a real convenient spot.
Yeah. This is just kind of talking out loud as part of that discussion. If we are able at some point in the future, and there's no set date on this. If we are able to develop a county-wide maintenance facility, and road facility, where we could have, should we ever go to the unit system, would it be feasible at that time to maybe move the ecosystem or the eco station to that area, wherever that winds up being? I don't know what we get into with the city or anything like that, because it's in a rural area now, it's not as in the cities.
I think that unless you have some multiple locations that people are going to be hesitant to drive, from Maybank to Kaufman.
We're not gonna go back to farm in Canada, right?
Yeah,
No.
yeah.
Or Terrell.
The trash is a nightmare because you have to provide the service somehow.
Yeah.
If
If we-
always going to be a money loop.
Yeah. Well, we had that company that was going to build a drive-through thing, and I guess, I don't know what happened to them, but.
That would be good if that
Yeah,
would work.
yeah.
Look how much money y'all had to have in the budget to cover all those costs. You
County
had the
cleanup.
countywide cleanup.
Yeah.
Well, what happened, and again,
That's a
just
lot.
talking out,
I think it was like 105,000.
yeah, talking out loud, what would happen if we just shut it down?
We would spend half our time picking up trash off the county roads.
Yeah,
That's
these
gonna fix the road.
people that are honest, you can make, at least they'll bring it.
Well, there's still one in Terrell and one in Kaufman. That's the only one that way.
I know that.
And I'm not sure we could shut it down because of the way we got the money. I don't know what the time limit.
I just.
And I don't want to do that, I'm just not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know, yours isn't costing a whole $100, it's Terrell and 40, I can contain them every time they haul them, when they charge us $400 or something like that.
Well,
I have them at least twice a week.
And they got an estimate last year to come pick up the household hazardous waste, it was like $3,200. That's expensive, I guess it's.
It's going to continue to be a money losing thing.
Yeah.
It's going to cost us. It's just, how do you manage the loss?
But if you don't have it, then you want
They
to.
don't cost us either way.
It's like you ought to have a free tire center to come drop your tires, just to save you from having to pick them up on the side.
Yeah.
Maybe
You don't have a choice.
Judge, maybe you could get Marilyn involved, maybe she might give you some pointers or
Who?
something. Marilyn, the one that used to run the other side of it, I think she's gone now, but she's still involved, just have to hire up, she might have some suggestions.
Well, and the co-op mine too, Charles Whitaker might have.
But they might take it like this happen. It doesn't look good paper.
Well, I don't know what we get into, how we transfer, I mean, I don't know what we'd have to do on that, or we'll lease it to
We can still
them.
keep the profit, still keep it in operation.
What if we move this down to do it 2 days a week, like Monday and Wednesday, or Wednesday and Friday? Don't you see how that works for a little bit? Let's see if we can.
Well, we have
Get some
some
more.
policy there, we have to take care
Yeah, I
of that.
understand that. So,
So you can't just have cans like we do. We don't have anybody take care of it. We just
They have
have
the
cans sitting
trailers,
out there.
the big trailer like you do for the tires, and then they have the big dumpsters for the metal and the other stuff.
You know, they just fill them up with all of them. They just don't even pay them.
Is a lot of the cost due to the employee that stays there?
How much money do you, if we take it in for people coming and actually paying?
I don't know, so they don't take cash, we don't have a credit card machine, so they take a check.
Do we have any clue on that?
I don't know.
That is brought to the county.
Yeah, she said-
And the county treasurer is.
Treasurer goes straight to treasurer.
It's not enough. I
I
tell
mean,
you,
it's not,
enough to cover.
it's not
the
10,000 a year or
expenses.
anything, it's a really small number.
Oh, yeah.
I can check and email y'all and let you
Well,
know.
because that might be the side effect, just get rid of the employee, because you're hauling off the canteen.
Well, you couldn't leave it open without someone being there, people just carry it up.
I don't care about cans. I mean, I'm just talking about that.
Is that the one that we had to do the claim on the insurance, Lori? Okay, yeah, we had damage
They
there
broke
from
in
a
a building.
flood, they broke into it or something. You had to get it repaired.
The Morgan building is all it is.
No, but I mean, just to haul the stuff off, if you got rid of the employee, but you keep the building, you just have cans sitting there, and let people come in and throw stuff in cans.
So let me say this, when I come back into office, we were spending a lot of money with the city of Terrell here with our paying for the can that sits up there. So anyway, we got this deal going where we used your sheet that, charges, so they go to the tax office in Terrell now to, pay it and go there. And we have reduced our costs immensely, right, Terry? Yes, we got a handle on it now to where it's manageable now, and so the city of Terrell knows that we're charging, and we're trying, and we stay pretty close to,
The new stays out there,
well, Terrell City opens it on, let me say, only 2 days a week, is it open? And the city of Terrell mans it, so ours can go in there with a permit, those 2 days, so we don't have.
You got
that's-
that, yeah.
Right, right,
because that'd be expensive.
right.
So, Jacob, do you want us to take any action on
No,
that?
just table that, that's all I'm gonna do, is talk about it another time.
Well, we talked about it, we're not gonna take any action, so I'll just table it.
Yes.
Till further study, if you'd like to put that on the motion.
Make a motion for table number 19.
All right, so Commissioner Allen makes that motion, do I have a second?
Second.
To the table, item 19, Commissioner Bozalik seconds, all in favor say aye. Those against. Item number 20 is to discuss and consider action on cover size and permitting enforcement. Jay?
Do we have anything in the county that we have to go out and we can enforce people putting in culverts? What minimum size it has to be, how long it has to be?
That's up to each individual commissioner, from what I understand. They have to have a permit to install one. They go to Public Works and get a form, and then that's submitted to the precinct. And then you go out there, they're near the top of the hill, and you see that all they need is a 15-inch. Then you recommend 15. If they're near the bottom of the hill and they need 2 24s, that's your decision, because it's your road that is going to flood.
Was there a fee for that?
It's in the permit.
It's in the permit.
Yeah, that's
So, phase, you need that money?
Now, it goes to the public.
General fund. General fund.
General fund.
Yeah, you get reimbursed for the culvert.
Okay.
Well, we don't supply.
We don't supply.
Okay, they have.
I think that
this property.
Somebody come in, y'all cross talking, you can't hear on grid. What'd you say?
Yeah, he's just talking about new property, if somebody comes
Okay.
along, wants a new culvert,
Okay,
and then we go out and tell them what size, how big it needs to be, and what it is.
And then the individual property owner is responsible for installing it.
okay.
Our only requirement is that we tell them what size. And on the length, I know in my precinct, in the past, it looks like they've been allowing them to put in 20 foot, which is way too short. They wind up running over the ends of it before they ever get the house in or, you know, the house built. So I started recommending a 24 or 30 foot plus the safety ends. 30 foot is almost always safe, you know, they get a project completed without demolishing the culvert.
In our requirements, does the safety ends have to be on the ground?
That is a requirement, yeah, the slope safety.
What I've done, I totally went to 30-foot culvert.
Yeah.
With safety.
Most of the county roads are so narrow, they can't swing wide with a tractor trailer, you know, or even a pickup in a trailer. So they wind up crushing them before the job's completed. But that is up to each individual commissioner, what I'm saying.
So, do we need to take any action on that, other than discussion? I don't know if we need to take it, I think it's just discussion, discussion. Next item, number 21, and it's to discuss and consider action on the Dowdy, is that how you pronounce it, exploration company requesting permission to do seismic work on county roads near the Henderson County line. This is at precinct 3.
Yes, did y'all get a copy of the map?
Yes.
Would you like to come up and address the board, please? This is Gary Newman, he's the representative. This company will be doing the work. Tell the court exactly what you're going to do.
I don't know if y'all are familiar with seismic.
Speak up just a little bit.
Are you familiar with seismic as it's been done? There's 2 ways. What we're doing is making vibrations to get our readings. There's 2 ways to make vibrations. One is we drill a hole and we put a charge. Another way is we use a vibrator truck. The best way I can describe it is a big tractor, really big tractor. It's got about a 4-foot pad on it. And they put that drop it to the ground and vibrate the pad to get our vibrations. And what we'd like to do is, there's a couple of different things that we can do. I'd like to be able to use the county roads to vibrate on, and to put our recording equipment, which is no digging on any of these, in the right of ways. And the recording equipment is about a foot square box, foot square, about a foot high. It's got an antenna. It's got 6 or 8 cables coming off. It's fiber optic, no electricity, with some spikes, and that's our sensors. I'd like to be able to do the trucks and our sensors. If I can, if y'all don't want that, I'd like to be able to put the sensors in the right of ways. If I can, if y'all decide not against that, I'd like to get I'm not sure, in Henderson County, we got a road, so that we can move our equipment from property to property. But I don't know.
What is that tractor weigh?
About 160.
Ton?
60,000.
Pretty good size piece of equipment.
It's a good size.
When it vibrates the road, when the pad goes down on the road, it vibrates, and you said it does in about 15 seconds? Or so?
Yeah, they might do it 15 seconds and wait a little bit. They might do 3 15 seconds, just depending on if all the equipment read right. But for the most part, they'll do that. They'll go maybe 300 yards up and do another. And there's 3 of them back to back when they do the vibration. When they do the vibration.
3 times?
Yeah,
So you'd use the county road,
we like to, yes.
okay, and you'd be there, how long, I mean, does it take you to vibrate?
Well, if everything goes good, no mechanical breakdowns, no nothing, they might be there on that spot 5 minutes and then move to the next spot.
How far, I mean, how often do you do it? 200 yards or 500 yards?
200 to 300 feet probably right now, as best I can. I haven't been given those parameters yet, but that's what it usually is, somewhere around 200 to 300 feet.
What kind of damage would it do to the paper?
It shouldn't do anything, might smooth it out.
You don't figure it all down later, what do you got to say?
I saw your trucks out there the other day, they were filling them in already.
Yeah.
So how much down pressure does it have on that plane? Has it got the whole 60,000 pounds?
It's got the old 60, but it's, like I said, it's spread out over 4 square, about 4 square feet. They have done, I've never seen it, but I've heard it, I don't know, dirt road, that a guy dug a hole, puts eggs in there, a dozen eggs, fill it back up, put the valve on top of it, the pressure.
Is he gonna be doing that? What happened?
But chip seal.
Chip seal, yeah.
Well, there's, I can't remember the name, Hill Road, Hall Road.
There's, I don't know, you just got to mark on the map, those names here.
Okay, I think it's Hall or Hill. There's 1 or 2 dirt roads that come off 4044 that are in the little Hill Road. And there's another one.
Laredo.
Laredo, yes.
Okay.
There's so many houses over there, I don't know if we'll be able to do that. But our surveyors will have to get out there and look to see exactly where they can go.
This, y'all are, doing oil exploratory?
Oh, yes.
What type of bond does Henderson County, what amount of bond they require y'all to have?
I think it was 20,000.
We mentioned we have electric for it.
Was it 40?
What about flagman and stuff?
We got our own flag. Unless y'all say we need something else.
Liability insurance, Jack, Tom, I mean, John, what type of liability might we face on something like this?
Well, at this point in time, we really haven't received any type of proposal or contract. We have a request for permission, but, if the court is serious about pursuing this, then we would request some type of proposed contract, including liability in that bond amount and size of it. so that you guys can take a look at it and maybe consider it seriously.
And let me say this too, we have some road issues right now. And one of the things that I will say after seeing some of the calculations for what road damages are, 40,000 sounds like a lot. How do you look at what it costs to repair a road?
Yeah.
Someone who does,
Yeah.
know what I'm talking about, so, it does not cover as much as you might think.
No. And you had mentioned 3 miles, 3 square
It's
miles,
about 3 square miles.
but I'm not sure how many road miles. I have the map here.
I'm not sure.
We would need to measure the roads. You can go with one of my guys, we'll put our calendar in there, make sure we got it exactly on what roads you're on, and we can take pictures of the condition of the road as we go.
That's not-
Before you do anything.
And if y'all don't let us use the road to buy one, I'd like to, to get your permission and to do, however y'all need me to do it, so we can move our equipment from property to property.
I don't think we have any regulation authority over that, as long as your destination is on one of those county roads.
Well, I'm just trying to make sure that
It might be a good idea to have, a road bond up for damage, if damage is done. As far as denying entry,
We can't do that. We need to get with John and then
determine that,
Rebecca, our attorney.
Did you have a contract with Henderson County?
they had their own, they just wanted me to submit the roads that I was gonna be on. And that's what I gave her the roads, and she made the contract.
She being the attorney for
The judge's secretary is one who did, who already talked to.
Okay.
I thought she was judge.
They will do that.
We would prefer if they would send a contract to us.
Okay.
Do you, well, I'll talk to them.
At the end of the meeting, maybe you can get with them and get that done, so. Right now, you're just asking, for permission to do this, and I don't know if we're ready to give permission, but we certainly can ask you to proceed, I think. with-
Well, that's what I was trying to find out what I had.
Yeah.
When I came to Mr. Allen,
Right.
and what do I need to do to get permission to do this? So that we're in good graces with the county.
Do you have any, what is your distance from houses that you require? Are you required by law to stay a certain distance?
Standard industry distance, that is about 300.
Have you ever had any issues with somebody complaining about foundation damage or something?
I mean. Have you ever had any?
Every time they ever earthquake, everybody can
Yeah. Well, we do have, we're gonna have vibration monitors out there when we do the job, and they're gonna set up on any dwellings that are there, so they can monitor what kind of vibrations we're putting in at what distance. And if we get over whatever the state says or the industry says, they shut them off.
That'd be my only concern, if we allow them to do that on the county roads, and then they come back and say, we were a party,
Yeah.
the damage, we must sue of some type.
And like I said, some of these fell off pretty heavily.
Is it?
But the little ones that we were talking about,
Yeah.
for the most part,
Some of them, we'll take some more.
Yeah.
that's when we get that, using the comfort bills out there.
Okay, so what do we need to do, somebody? John, what do you and Rebecca recommend what kind of action should we take on this?
At the risk of being less than neighborly, my first observation is, it seems like there's an individual landowner's business seismic on their property, and I share Commissioner Brzalek's concern that we're being a party to something that landowners may not know about. So with that general observation, the second thing I would say too is I'd like to see a proposed contract of what it is that we're expected to do. And really, we're not their lawyers. And if they're asking for something in the county, I will tell you, from our experience with damaged roads before, is that, boy, it gets expensive. It gets terribly expensive. And, you know, when you say how much is the bond, I'll almost tell you whatever, I can say, it's not enough. Because we, you know, pardon the pun, we've been down that road. So, and I'm not condemning him, I'm just saying.
Well, I guess we are trying to use it to vibrate on the roads. That's fine, if we can't do that. I'm gonna ask for everything I can get.
Sure.
But just to move our equipment, now, you're talking about the individual landowners, we get their permission. That's got nothing to do with us coming and trying to use the county road. If we don't get their permission, we don't go on their property, unless there's an extenuating circumstance.
Let's see a contract. Let's see a contract.
Okay.
We have a proposed document that's attached as part of the agenda item, and it does not begin to address the concerns that we have for this story.
You need to give them a contract. That's it.
So really, we don't need to take any action other than maybe ask the company, is it Downton? Downton, to work with our attorneys with a contract.
The actual, Downey is the oil company. The actual company that's gonna be doing the testing is Dawson.
Dawson.
And, permit that one I had just with somebody else, that's on that permit that I gave you.
So,
Jim, did you have something?
yeah, the agenda item, the way it's worded, I guess we would deny permission for them to do seismic work on county roads pending a contract submitted to our legal department for review.
Until that's done.
I was coming to try to find out what y'all.
Yes.
Good discussion.
Yeah. Glad you're looking at Kaufman County to do some.
Maybe we'll find something good out there.
A little bit. All right. Go ahead, you want to make a motion?
Well, either take it until we get, well, Jimmy's already going to.
He made the motion.
He made the motion.
And the motion is to,
Deny permission to do seismic work on Kaufman County roads, pending the contract submitted to our legal department for review.
so we have a motion, do we have a second?
Yep.
Jakey seconds, any other discussion? All in favor say aye. Aye. Thank you very much for being here. All righty, item number 22 is to discuss and consider section 251.1575 of the Texas Transportation Code, posting a road, I guess it should be sign, road sign to limit use by trucks weighing more than 60,000 pounds.
I got this from, Jim, Allen, off one of the emails. And I'm like, our trash trucks, I met one this morning, and 14 wheels on it. Now, 14 wheels. Now, I don't know how much that thing can weigh when it's full, but our roads aren't made to hold that kind of weight. You know what it weighs.
I hate to tell you, but trash truck is like, they actually weigh more than landfill all the time, over 100,000 pounds.
I mean, it's just,
wet.
it's killing our roads. We can't keep up.
The biggest problem you have with this statute, if you read the rest of Jim Allison, still, it all has to do with overweight permit, so they don't get overweight permit, they're legal. And you have, I had printed the rest of it, and the supervisor, it gives the supervisor permission, but then also it comes back and says that it has to come to court and get regulated, and then you can't regulate traffic because if that's the only way for them to get there, we can't stop them.
The first paragraph says you can give an alternate route.
That's right.
You know, these homes are go off the roofs.
Right, if there's no alternate route, then posting the sign.
So what you can do, because we get,
legal registered weight.
Registered weight. So when they get overweight permit, what, 56,000 pounds, you have to go to IRS to apply and get a separate permit to get that weight. And then if you get over, what is it, 68,000 or something
Well, it
like that.
depends on the axle.
Weight, but I mean, at a certain length, and a certain weight, and a certain number of things, you have to go get permission from TxDOT and everybody to get a route to go to where you're going. So the weights are already described in the law. And to get a permit for your truck, or a license, it tells you the law instantly what your weight value is.
The overweight permits that most trucks have will allow you to run 80,000 pounds on a 58,420 farm market that are posted at that. They will also allow you to be 5% over your registered gross weight. So if you register for 80,000, you're allowed to be 84,000.
That's on the farm market, right?
Yes, and then you are allowed a 10% over any axle. Like say your steering axle, you've got your load too far forward.
Right.
Well, that overweight permit will allow you to be 10% over your rated axle rating, but no more than 5% on your total.
But what does that do back to the county road?
Well, we can't overrule state law and state permit.
I think the only way that we can is like a culvert or bridge.
Yeah, if there's a load zone bridge on it,
Or a
Yeah,
culvert.
they've got all new bridges now.
I know.
They're closed.
Yeah. That was our only way in the past to regulate truck traffic, was a load zone bridge. I've looked at this for 2 years.
Well, we were talking about it the other day.
Yeah, every man
What to
would.
do.
Yeah. I mean, we discussed it in trash trucks, how that, and that's where we're gonna have to get into it with the legal, is whether or not we can permit them. I mean, we can permit them, but if we could permit them down to sections, and just allow one company to bid them out.
I think in order to permit them, we have to have an entire county trash policy. We would have to provide through some taxing entity, we tax every citizen for trash service. We could go out for bids to have, to take bids for trash service for the county. Everybody would pay for it, everybody would be allowed to use it. Then we can control the size of the trucks like the cities do. We can control the number of runs per week, and it would have to be funded through some sort, like in the cities, through your water bill. We would have to designate some source of funding for every citizen, for every household.
One of these counties has done that.
None of the state can do.
Yeah.
That's the only way we can regulate it.
But you can permit a trash truck, if they, even if they're just traveling with the risk, it's like anything else, you can actually.
The
permit.
county can?
Yeah, you can actually require them all to have a permit. Whether we bid them or not, you can require them to have a permit.
What regulate, that doesn't allow us to regulate it.
No,
Yeah.
this makes them get a permit, stick on the truck, say that it's a permit in the guy in our county.
So you have a net.
So all we need to control the weight of them is.
But you can't control weight or, and what we're trying to do is trying to figure out a system that we can control the same 16 different trash trucks. We have one road that gets 16 different houses.
That's my place to go through.
Yeah.
And bigger than 5 or 6 trips down that road to one trip that we got.
And I've spent a lot of time on it. It is, a regulatory thing. It's just that the cities, the reason they're so able to do it is because of their water bill. They just automatically put everything on track. And we don't do that in the county, and that would be a nightmare trying to figure out how to send it over.
So money making.
A lot of people burn their trash and don't own the trash collector. So what do you do about that?
Two cities financials and water district.
So it might be a thing that we could get it down to a section and bid out a section, or just permit a section. And the legislature, I've got somebody looking it up, to see what we're doing.
And the better part of it, the commercials, like the stores, the restaurants and stuff, they had to have certain size containers. We got franchised off of that, from that garbage contract.
Randy, do you have a comment?
Yes, Bill, our office has approached this concept before, not for the purpose of the trucks, but I see the twofold, but for the purpose of controlling the burning of common household trash. There is a law in the government code that stipulates if the county provides a trash pickup service for the entire county, every household in the county, then you can eliminate the burning of common household trash. But they would still be able to burn the brush if their storm comes through or something. But for providing the service of the trash pickup, that will eliminate the burning of common household trash. TCEQs changed that portion of the law because of, 30, 40 years ago, our trash was cardboard, paper, and now, the majority of it's styrofoam, plastics, and so forth. And there's a conflicting part of the law there. It says, one part says you can't burn plastics, rubber, asphalt, and so forth. But then the other says you're allowed to burn your trash, common household trash, if the county does not have a trash pickup service available for the entire county. Everybody was in agreement. It seemed, that was a good thing to do. The problem we ran into was what you just addressed, is what is the easiest way to get this done? Can it be done on the tax roll? Can it be assessed on the property? Does it go to the homeowner? Does it go to the tenant? And it never developed from that point.
Could we get our water companies to collect it for us through the water bill?
Some people are on water wells.
That's every individual water.
STW has a utility billing module. All I have to do is pay that to turn it on. Then we'd have to get can't mess with the city properties, because the city already does that. You have to get the outline, get those addresses. It would take some time to dump it into the system to start billing.
I think the simplest way right now, and they're looking at the legislative part, we've got a couple guys in and we're looking for it, is to be able to permit the trucks and divide them up into sections. And we don't collect the fee, but we'll set in a countywide trash service, and we'll say, precinct 2, this company has earned the bid. They'll just come bid and say what they'll pay us, a percentage, and we're not collecting from the house. They'll just give us a percentage in precinct 1 and precinct 4, and divide it up into 4 companies, or the same company could have all 4 precincts if you bid the house.
That what the city, that kind of how they do it.
Kind of like they do it, except the cities collect the money, and that way they'll always want the correct percentages. And we can just require them to turn in a list of the customers and collect off a percentage from them. And if that turns out to be a legal process, then I think it's someplace that we ought to go, and then we'll correct your problem on the burden instantly with that.
Those kind of contracts are very lucrative if you negotiate correctly.
They're fun.
The only, one of the other drawbacks that we saw is historically, I think if we did try this or discuss it, public has you're going to see an increase on this because the consumer doesn't want to be told how to think. So it's a driving us off.
Well,
That issue as well.
it doesn't say, and that's the whole thing about the permit, to be permitted, right, on the trucks, it doesn't say you can burn it, unless we just decide to do that, or that you have to have a trash service. It just says that the only way that truck gets to go in that precinct to collect somebody's trash is if they have a permit with us, and award us a certain percentage of their revenue for collecting and all that.
And I'll check into that a little further. I believe there is a stipulation in the law that states that if that trash service picks up for more than one county, they pick up from multiple counties,
Right.
they're not required.
Well, but this is because we're giving them a bid process. And if not, then that's what we're asking them to do, is start looking at legislation that we could write, correct this problem so that we could have that. And it's supposed, I thought they've already been back to me, We'll be down there Monday, so I'll be talking to them again.
John?
We haven't looked into this in particular, but the AG's office had said that 07, the county commissioner's court is not authorized to require the operator of a roadway vehicle to obtain a permit from the county when the operator has obtained a permit. The permanent transportation, section 623.1. That may just be limited to being an overweight or not, so I'm not saying that we cannot do that, but I'm kind of hesitant to say how many additional permits we could require of the public.
Well, I know already has overweight. When me and Jackie went to school, in those classes, that's one of the things they did tell us, that the county, they take the 10 authorized permits for trash trucks that's coming through your county. We didn't get into it that much, but I know, I mean, that's just what they, you know.
Okay.
I'm just going by what they said.
Who regulates it?
The state taking,
I mean, TCEQ or the textile or do you know?
I don't know where they put the regulations in enforcement.
Who regulates the trash?
Yeah, I wonder what they
It goes right with water, it's the same people that does the water and the sewer, it's all three here combined, they have the right, the state to regulate the trash, and that's why the cities get the.
That's what I bet it is.
Set out for being.
TCEQ.
Yeah. I would think TCEQ.
Yeah, well, it's a topic, I think, worth pursuing. So what do you want to do further investigation?
That's all we can do.
Do right now?
Yeah, the way that,
Keep working on it.
All right, would somebody be willing to put that in the form of a motion? Skeet, since you're kind of the,
Well, that's what I'm trying to think, what kind of motion we can put, that we will continue to work on the idea of figuring out a way to permit trucks, the weight,
yeah.
our countywide pickup, and countywide, we want to bid, sir, bid.
You kind of take the lead on following through
Oh,
on
yeah,
this.
no, I'm working hard on it.
That's good.
But, I'm sorry, the agenda has it that, for posting a road, so limit used by trucks doing more than 60,000 pounds, so.
Right, and you can't do anything with that.
Are you gonna take no action?
We take no action.
From this
Take
table.
no action. I always take no action on this, and we know we're working on the other. That's probably the right thing.
John?
I think that's right. I was just going to say, that the motion was framed in terms of explore alternatives under 251.157. That might cover it, because it's really what you're trying to do. You're trying to do something besides an alternate route. I mean,
Right.
besides building another road, what could you do?
The good thing would be to eliminate the amount of traffic that's on that road by heavy vehicle.
And this has to go wrong in other counties too.
Yeah, somebody,
yeah, I've discussed it with other commissioners, the trash trucks are killing all the county roads all around.
Might be something that the county commissioners and justice association might get behind too.
legislative working on it. We've got a lot of them looking at this.
Good.
Okay, so what's the motion?
Table.
Just
We're
for
just
further.
taking no action.
Yeah. We just take no action on item 16.
Because
Smooth.
we can't do anything about it. It's a wait and deal.
We're gonna put that in form of motion and then we just table that, take no action on it.
Yeah, we're taking no action because there's no formal way for us to be able to regulate that.
All right, we have that from Commissioner Phillips. We have a second. Alan seconds the motion. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, like. We'll do one more item, then we're gonna take a quick break. 23 is to discuss and approve issuance of requested procurement card for Dwayne Van Schuyler, road crew supervisor at Kaufman County Precinct 2.
Yeah, and all I did was go into the county archive deal here and find the employee agreement and the credit card agreement for the users of the mission, and had this statement attached to it and all that. Covered over at precinct 2. We have no way to go buy a case of water. And so we don't have a single charge place for some reason. I don't know why. But we have no Walmart, Target, or Lowe's or anything. We need some way for him to, we need a boat instead of having to drive all the way to Kaufman and all the way to somewhere, be able to get it right there and not have a big issue over it.
So the credit card is not the way to do that.
Well, that's in the book.
Yeah.
I mean, that way give him the opportunity to go to several different places. Not
just one thing.
Jack is, well, I know you had, I think had a discussion the other day, I was curious what you,
That's my paperwork got to be in. I recycle this next time we argue about it.
recycle.
I want to go to 26211, that's just a portion of my station. Section D, just tells who's authorized to purchase for the county. That would be me. I'm the only one authorized to purchase for the county by statute. I give you guys authority under my word statute to be it contracts, blanket orders, various things that we've got some authority. Under section L, it states the purchasing agency may have assistance to aid in the performance of duty. Keyword.
L.
Sorry.
L.
L.
Yeah.
Yeah. Those are big words. Section L. Section states that the purchasing agent may have assistance to help aid in the performance of duty. Keyword there is may. It also says that a person that uses a card becomes an assistant to the purchasing agent. Karen can probably verify that for the past 2 years, we've got written up, I've got dinged on the fact that there's some cards here and there, that the bills don't get turned in on time, and we've got down to 16 things they found, got down to 2 or 3, and always ended up getting credit card money. We're trying to get that in check. When I get called upon my other duties, there's software available that if you're a card user, you make your purchases, and you get sent an email with a list of things that you bought, and you check off you made those purchases, and it comes to me, and I get the bill back, and it gets drawn out of the bank account. Until we get that, I'm not prepared to add additional credit cards. I understand the person that's problem. I know they're here in town a couple of days a week at Pierce. We've got a mail service that runs every day out there. I can send my card, personal card can utilize. You need to understand, gentlemen, this is on me. When that card is lost, that card is stolen, the piece is being ordered out of the UK, all kinds of things are happening on the card. It's a non-stop thing trying to keep up this thing. And these procurement cards, based on the way they're set up, if they're used heavily, we can call it everyday card refused or whatever. And that's not even counting. I know you're gentlemen, I don't know your gentlemen, I'm sure as honest as they as well. But I do know when credit cards are used, watch the paper, whether it's a school district or when it's a city or it's a county, they don't go to Mr. Court, they don't go to the city council, they go purchasing agent. Based on that, and I'll defer to John, I think it's my decision on who gets card. And I don't have a comfort level with all these things. I fully anticipate, there again, when I get back in person, and I will get this, if we have this program, that we get this bill paid on time, and I can control them, because now I have verbal control.
Do we have other credit cards in the system?
There are some cards that get canceled, we have some Walmart cards out there.
I know, like, when I took over the precinct, they had cards, but they were in the form of name out there, and I turned them into.
I could probably get you something like a Walmart card to, be kept in the office there, but,
Well, I ain't mind keeping his card if my thing is to come check it out. I'll just put the name on the person and go use it. I'm not gonna go buy stuff for them. They need to go back, not me.
I'm sure. And I want to have this, that's one of hers real quick, but it's a big responsibility credit card, for sure. All that card can be used anywhere from protecting the plane to whatever.
What department of using credit cards the most in the past?
There's no one's used. I have not had one single use. Well, we had one line with that, that's take care of. And I'm not going to be able to fault this.
I mean, was it a department that had several employees? I mean, so many that it'd be hard for one individual to oversee all over that had access to the credit card? Or was it a department that had just a handful of employees that that had some pretty tight.
It's a combination.
Can I input something?
It's a combination of both.
Part of the problem is people won't turn in the receipts, therefore I can't pay the bill in time, therefore we get dinged for late fees, cut-offs. We had some even SO calling us, hey, our bill didn't get paid, we're in such and such county, we can't get gas. Because they wait too late to bring us the bills to get processed in time.
Well, that's a supervisor issue, it's not really a credit card problem,
No.
it's a supervisor problem.
No, but through the state of Texas, there is a procurement card that flows with STW software. Then it's automatically dumped into the financial system. The supervisor has to get the report, just like they do the stuff we send y'all about your monthly financials. Once a month you get those, and you would have to say, yeah, that's the right line item. Yeah, we bought this, we bought this, we bought this. And then you sign it, send it back. And then the only way I will go with him and agree is if we have it set up that when that card, when that MasterCard is due, that money is automatically withdrawn from our bank. Then we're never late, we don't get dinged.
Good idea. And it's very good, then we're not, there's no credit card issues. There's no way to credit. It's just when you have people that are on vacations and maybe are supposed to sign on, there's all kinds of things. I've got to get a system in place before I start coming to pay the card.
Well, I mean, the limit on the thing would be, you know, as low as $500 wouldn't matter, it's just.
We have.
And I mean, we could pay the $500 even if we didn't have the receipts, if the guy that didn't turn in the receipts next month, then I think it'd be like purchasing, if you don't want to turn it in, you can't explain it. When we're talking about somebody else who owns the money.
Well,
Nobody's understanding good for the money, I just don't want to, I don't want to go buy something and have to turn in a receipt for myself every day to do this. But now,
Sue, you gotta realize.
no,
Jack, I
I
don't
mean,
wanna
this
step on
is,
your
we're
toes.
making a big thing out of a
Right.
little thing. And I just think that, you know, it's a little simpler to be able to charge something over on the other side of town than it should be.
Well, I say this, up until recently, I don't know how the county side didn't, out there for it. And they have now. And that's people wants to do it. How they get by, I don't know. It's not a given, it's a privilege, it's not a given thing.
No, I'm not saying we did, and that's not what we're saying we did, we're just saying that we need a way to purchase. And I've asked you, so far I haven't got anything, and so I found this in our policy deal. And that's why I put it in, because I said, well, okay, maybe this is why I'm not getting anything done, I need to fill out the form and put it in here. So I did. So I'd like to have some way to purchase stuff over there on that side of town.
There again, now, I have a card, we've got now we go there every day. If there's a little planning, I give that card to you. If you buy your stuff, send the card back to you, until we get this resolved.
There could be an issue, a timely issue that they just want to get a card or a vote or something, it's hard to plan for.
That's what I'm saying, it's hard to,
It's trivial purchases, not.
I think we need to figure out.
Chainsaws or weed eaters or something. but
I don't care if it sits in the secretary's drawer over here, and they come to her and get it, and we'll get the thing and bring it back. But I think we need to have a way to be able to purchase stuff over there instantly in an emergency or whatever, and not have, you know, small things. I understand it's big. But if you got a tractor broke down in the middle of the road, then you need a pin for it, and they're going at Northern, and you just drive down the street and get one, and put it in there, instead of tying up the road for the next 3 hours. We had one break the other day, and they on straight, sat there and blocked the road for 4 hours. So we had to get a backhoe out there and get the thing lifted up and chained together, instead of just buying it by the part and get it put back together. Now, you see what I'm saying? It just doesn't make sense. This size, and we're having a hard time dealing with $500.
And I think, like, I've got to get control of this thing, because the minute I give your guy one, then his guy one, and then his guy will be one.
That's fine.
Yeah, I like that.
That's fine.
But it's not
But what you're working on to take care of this new program.
Yes, sir. How long will it take you? We have to
He's
get,
gotta
we have to
get
get
with
trained on it.
SCW, that's not my game.
We get trained on it from my, you know, like I told some of you guys here before, you know, we've got new loans cards. We have 15 gas cards and I want to get down to one credit card. And we're going to get there. And that's going to solve that problem. We got to be trained on the software, we already have a lot over there.
You have to order the cards from the state of Texas, and that could take, 30 days or longer sometimes, because they have to send those off as you made.
I think I can make that pretty quick.
And this is gonna take the place of a credit card, I mean,
It's the same thing as it's called.
What I just paid the card is kept at your precinct, your secretary, whoever, they issue it to you. You have a law or whatever, you want to the hospital, go get something, get the card signed out, right there where it dies, you have to get something, we can work that out. I just need to get something in place.
there'll be something over there.
Yes.
I would suggest though, anybody that you're gonna give that card to, and they're gonna issue it to somebody to go use to run to get something, they need to be held liable and know that if we go into the system and pull something and it's wrong, and they bought something they weren't supposed to, they're terminated.
I don't want to have a problem, then we'll have it.
Yeah.
There's multiple issues there. I mean, I can speak to the city level. At the city level, municipality, you get your card, if somebody uses the card, then they're fine. Okay? You get to the county, somebody uses my card, and I ask them, well, you want to? There's there. It's like, so, based on that, I've got to get my ducks in a row. I want to have the town set my ducks in a row. When I get through managing a construction job and play a little game, then I'll be on work first thing in the morning.
Yeah, the only other solution, Jack, that I could think of off the top of my head is each one of the commissioners give them, we have to, each of vote on, is make you, that you're gonna be responsible for that money and it's subject to audit at any time.
I don't even have a problem with that.
So you could do that if you wanted to. So you got things in line and you got all your stuff back in row, like you said. And get the training.
I want to help you.
I mean, we just need a way to go somewhere and get something.
Right. Well, I understand that.
Our building's so old, you can't even drink the water, so they go down and purchase water.
So-
Now we can't even flush, so it doesn't make any difference.
Is that something you could do as the auditor? Could you establish
I can establish a change fund, petty cash change fund. Yeah, I can do that.
until we have time to get this other system
And
set
we
up?
know it's
Then I
coming
do.
out of your road and bridge fund. That's the way I
I
do
mean,
it.
that's fine.
That's the way I do it for the general fund.
But I think the four assistants or whatever, all of us have assistants, and have a lockbox in our drawer, and they comes here
We'll order the lock
and get the money
boxes.
that they need to go get something, bring her back the receipt and turn it in.
Well, you
And
need,
you
those
replace
lock
the money.
boxes come with 2 keys.
That's
So
fine.
your administrative assistant would get one, and then somebody else needs to have it in case she's on vacation, sick, or not
Yeah.
there.
That's fine. I mean, we just need to correct this problem.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not our job then, well, I think, not if they can get it. Or,
Right.
or wait for him to send it in the mail the next day, or if it came too late, then it's too late.
Would you need one?
I don't think so, because I mean,
Then
I'm
come
here
get your
close
card.
enough, I can come get the card.
Precinct 3, do you want?
No,
Y'all should
He
have
has,
a card.
he has credit cards.
yeah, I was on for a card, and that's all we are.
He has Walmart.
If
So
we
just
need
be
to order the
precinct
card,
two.
Depot's Home Depot, I'm not.
Okay, so I'll just set it up for precinct 2.
Do you want one, Jack?
And I'll get you a Walmart card, I'll help you till we get through this. I
Um,
can get you a Walmart card, I'll help you get through this period. That's not, I don't mind them, they're not safe, you can't buy these everything. And I help you out, there's a lot more to it. We get requisitions, okay? And they come very similar to y'all, okay, all the same. And they'll do a requisition, they'll put under one account or their budget. And when the invoice comes in, they send an invoice and change it to the fund.
Sure has.
So,
Who changes it?
I'm not getting it, it's wrong with it. So, with the credit card, we can't have just that, because we won't pay the bill.
One
But
good
the
thing
credit
about
card is instant.
one thing, good thing about the purchase court system that we're talking about through the state, they give you these little, I can't think of the little things where you can, it's a program on the computer that they load up for you, and you can dial into the bank, input your ID and that secure digital code, and we can actually see who's buying it, what day, what they bought, who signed for it, and actually get a hard copy of the signature. And we would monitor that every 2 or 3 days. My AP clerk would monitor it just to see who's buying what. And we've got to set up the merchant codes of what they can do. If you're going to let them go to school and use it to buy gas and their meals, no alcohol, no movies in the hotel or anything, things like that. It's got to be set up a certain way.
There's for instance, you have a commodity code for, I don't know, tools. And you're set about tools, you have a vendor, that you set up a one thing, if you can set up that item, then you're out of trouble. So what conflicts phone calls for being caught doing that? There's one here.
Safe precaution.
Okay, so back on this item number 23, I guess we need to table it and let Jack work on the new system, and then Karen can.
Yeah, I've got to know. I'm going to set him up.
Okay. Have a motion to table and.
Have a motion to table.
Okay. Second. Commissioner Allen, all in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed. All right, let's take a break. We've been sitting here about 3 hours, 2.5 hours.
Yes, there was only 2. Do you have any questions? We have to amend the Healthy County tax money. We get a refund from them when we do our wellness programs and everybody gets good reports. And so we always carry that amount over to Ms. Lori Floyd in HR so she can use it for programs and stuff. And she didn't tell me that she wasn't going to spend all her money, and I estimated according to encumbrances, and my number was wrong. So we wanted to give her back that $607. All right, and the courthouse security fund, we had to, because of the movement around in the main courthouse downstairs, we had to give them an extra $300 to get their area situated. So, and that's not out of the fund, it's courthouse security. That was for the security people stuff to get situated. Yes.
Computers and all that.
So that's the only 2 that I have. Okay.
Anybody have any questions about those? Not, I'll entertain a motion to approve as presented. Second, Commissioner Shane makes the motion. Rizal seconds the motion. All in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed. Now, item number 25 is discuss and consider claim for payment.
Okay, the claims for payment are $395,650.91. Out of those attorney fees that you had me pull last time, Commissioner Phillips, he got a hold of some information for us. And if the Board of Judges hasn't set a policy of like 6 months or 90 days, whatever, 120 days, whatever, it's a 2-year time span from the date of it's dismissed, resolved, or whatever. So I pulled those. These that I'm asking you to pay that's included is $10,476. The ones I'm holding because they're over the 2-year limit is $45,69.50. And I'm not paying these because they're over the 2-year limit.
Can you, and we paid some that were over 2 years in that first one. Can we request our money back from those that we paid that were more than 2 years old? Just write a letter saying,
I doubt if we get it back, but we can try.
Requested.
What I understand, we can.
Yeah, we can get our money back.
Yeah, what I understand.
And you can request it, they
We can't force them, I don't think, but we can request.
That's what I meant.
Well, I mean, you can.
You knock them off the wheel if they want to play it.
The
It's my understanding, though, that the judges are gonna have a meeting, I think sometime in March, and that this will probably be a topic of discussion to draft some kind of policy that gives y'all a comfort level, gives them a comfort level, and allows me to pay bills going by that policy.
Matter of fact, the one I talked to, he said, he thought 30 days.
Well, we have 30-day promulgated act, but that's on the county side, they can actually, so I have 30 days to final around.
Like I said, I know they're working on that, and that's gonna be resolved, but go, dealing with what we have here now,
Have money in there.
I think we ought to request our money back for those that are more than 2 years old, put on their according to government code, whatever it is.
I think it's maybe the good question would be what we were talking about. Maybe money.
It's called financial risk management.
Well, we probably, I know you wouldn't have some of
No, I have to get PW to pull it for me.
And once you get into the pull it, see what, see if it's talking about. See if it's worth.
I would imagine these people right here, there's two attorneys. When I tell them I'm not gonna pay them because these are old, I would imagine the judges are gonna get some nasty notes. So I'm probably gonna visit with the judges before I send letters out, because they might wanna draft the letter instead of me.
Yeah.
You know, so I wanna give them that
I'm
chance.
still curious, if they've been on for 2 years, they even know they have money coming, I would imagine.
Like somebody who was that long.
Well, that's what I'm saying, I don't think they even know.
My question is, were they stuck in one of our judges' offices drawer, or were they submitted 3 years ago, and, you know, or did they just now submit it when they saw that the judges were leaving office?
That's very possible, I don't know.
I mean, the judge should have the answer to that, because they're the ones that give you the bills to pay.
No, they don't. The attorneys don't bring bills.
They just send them straight to you. Well, the judges, when did the judges mark them down? Did they mark them down 3 years ago or 5 years ago?
Judge Lewis signed these 12/28/14.
Well, I was gonna say that, I think it's Bobby Rich, isn't he? He couldn't have signed it years ago, and it's $2,500 in 5 years old.
Yeah, and they probably just found those and said,
He might have been the bottom of the drawer or
or
something.
the attorney was here for another case
Said,
and
oh,
brought them and said, hey, you know,
Well, there's too many of them show up at one time for it to be a coincidence.
I know,
It's not a coincidence. I mean, it's a wrong thing.
and it's the same attorneys.
Yeah.
So anyway, did you have any questions on any specific bills that we emailed to you? Okay, what did you have?
And we got 2 for countywide cleanup. Then another one here, together.
Let me see.
Jason Johnson requested money for travel days, but it's not gonna take place until March 8th through the 13th. Karen, is it normal policy to pay for travel days before they ever take a trip?
Yeah, yes, sir, usually we hold those checks, but if he has to pay for his registration in his hotel,
Yeah.
we usually send those checks
Yeah.
ahead, just give him his per diem like before he leaves.
he might not have the money to go, he might have got a check. He's pretty stretched.
That's requesting travel ahead of time, that was on the drop.
How soon can you move that money from Texas thing over to American National Bank investment?
What we're gonna call on this afternoon, just make sure all the ducks are in a row, I'll be asking the but once the judge told me after the last meeting, I would do things when I studied the investment policy. I really felt like I better sit down, come to the close.
They're making money off of us.
All I know is Texas rules are very much in performance.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
making money off of it.
Well, I don't know their business, they're just not paying us very much.
Then I did it for free. And we get more, they get more. That's normal way of paying all the
But American National suggested we just bring it back into our main accounts. And,
That's good.
Tony, is he on?
This is for front load refuse service. Also, y'all need to realize that, I think it was sometime last year, you adopted a new investment policy, and county treasurer probably hadn't had time to really review that to know what to invest that money in. Because you have to follow those guidelines.
I read the investment policy.
Okay, well, I didn't know if you'd had a chance to look at it yet.
That's why I didn't do anything.
I hear that.
Ready, aim, ready,
Get ready.
ready, aim. Third ready, aim.
I got just one other on that same deal, but I'm not sure it's $1,000 environmental.
Just like sometimes I have to just look in that direction and smile, you know? It just comes over me a way.
And Judge, I visited with Carol, we'll be on the expedited timely filing next month. Part of the delay this time.
It just requires us to get it in a little earlier, you know, so
Not in,
just get used to it, kind of, isn't it?
that's all it was.
Recycling pickup, I do know that they come out with a style of canvas and pick up all the stuff we recycle and send out there.
Okay.
The other thing, while y'all are thumbing through the bills, is you may already be aware of this, but Dateline NBC is gonna run their 2-hour program this Friday night on the Kaufman County murders.
A Dateline is?
This Friday night. Eight o'clock.
You promise?
2 hours. I can talk to them. Talk to them 48 hours. But I'm not talking to Dateline. I think I talk to everybody else. I just hope they're good. Yeah, I just hope they're good.
Yeah,
I don't think it's
yeah. If you realize, you remember, Jimmy Joe and Kenneth might remember the judge, I was questioned by President to the Commissioner when the tax assessor would give her report, or his report at that time, why it didn't match my report. She puts rural and debt together. She puts road and bridge separate on her report. Okay? Sometimes the time frame is not received by the treasurer into the same time frame, and that causes an issue. Oh, sorry. I forgot to bring that to you.
All right, are you ready? Are we ready to approve the bills for payment? Everybody in the room? Do I have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner Phillips makes a motion.
Jackie, thanks.
Commissioner Allen seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Motion to dismiss.
I'll make a motion.
Commissioner
Can I
Shane
second
makes a motion.
something to that?
Yeah.
Second.
Commissioner Gonzalez seconds. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Is everybody going to call? They're going to be great.
We're going back to, what, the GDP?